Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is January 19th, and right now we're looking at the combination of Doppler radars here across BC, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana. You can still see we've got some light precipitation moving around the area here. We've got some winter weather advisories that are running through some of the afternoon hours here east of the Cascades. We've got some of this precipitation riding up over some cooler air trapped across some of northwest Washington, southwest BC. So there could be some freezing rain going on with that. Also, some temperatures are still sub-freezing across the Portland metro. So any shower activity that moves there or across the gorge could be bringing additional amounts of light glaze, let's call it here. But we should be warming up by the time we go on and towards Saturday afternoon for places west. It's going to be a much longer process here for places east, which is usually the case. And we'll dive into some of those details here, starting with the NAM 3cam high resolution model. This is hot off the press this morning. You can see that colder air in place across some of the Willamette Valley here and up towards northwest Washington. Let's scroll a little bit further here, and this is where we are right about, as I'm speaking here, about 9 a.m. And you can see some of this precip moving around some of western Washington with some chillier air up there across some of Whatcom County. Looks like it should be going above freezing as we go through the day today. But you can see some of this cold air is kind of hanging around a lot of the Willamette Valley, and it cooler, of course, east of the mountains also. Now, if we scroll on into our Saturday morning, there's something I want to call attention to here as well. Look at the temperatures in some of the Willamette Valley, still in the upper 20s and in the 30s by the time we go into very early Saturday morning. And then the NAM brings some light precipitation up over the area. And not only is that not allowing the ice to melt, but it could drop another additional layer here as we get to Saturday morning. As you can see, the precip looks to be fairly light. I mean, it doesn't even show much for getting there for the Portland metro here, but just kind of a heads up for that. And as we go through Saturday morning, we finally start to warm things up as we get towards the noon hour here west of the Cascades. You know, it's going to take a little longer here for east of the Cascades, and you can see some additional a light freezing rain is possible across some eastern Oregon and Washington as well as we go on in through the day Sunday. But things west of the Cascades, we should be back up in the 40s, and that's going to feel quite warm to everybody out here across western Washington, Oregon, and southwest BC. And I just wanted to give thanks to everybody who's leaving these super thanks out there for the channel. You know, this is much appreciated. You guys, you can see Skittles right there. Thanks for the generous contribution here. And you see Joy W. So I just wanted to throw that thanks out there for those of you who are doing that. It's not required by any means, but very grateful. Now, taking a look at the European, I wanted to look ahead here, and you can see some of this actually still going on through the morning, but it looks like it should be wrapping up as we go through the day today for some of the Cascade valleys back in here and up towards Snoqualmie Pass, and then maybe a little bit of light glaze across some portions east as we go in there through Saturday. And the European does show a little bit across the Willamette Valley as we go through tomorrow morning here, but it doesn't show much. But the big issue is we need to start warming things up and get rid of that ice, and Portland and some of the Willamette Valley could remain below freezing at times as we go in towards Saturday morning, but the warm-up should be occurring tomorrow afternoon. And this is one more look at it here on the European. Again, the temperatures, you can see them sub-freezing all the way on in through some of the day today. We warm up a bit, and then we cool back down as we go through tonight. And you can see some of those temperatures down into the lower 30s here. But as we go through Saturday, you'll see the warm-up start to occur here, and that warmer air move into the area and across much of western Washington, Oregon. And we should be fully done with that Arctic air mass. It just can be very difficult to get rid of it because you've got that cold air conduit, a sea level gap that just can flow out into the Willamette Valley and keep temperatures suppressed quite dramatically. Looking at SeaTac here over the last few days, you can see on the 17th when they had the freezing rain event here in Seattle, you can see it got down to 30 at SeaTac. So that's why we had a pretty decent glaze across some of the area, and some bigger amounts back in the Cascade Valleys here, especially through yesterday. But you can see yesterday SeaTac did not get below freezing here, 34 to 39, and we should be on the warming trend here. And kind of on a side note, we almost got that record set back in 1963 of 13 on the 12th there. We got down to 15 in back-to-back days, but we still didn't set a record low, 1963 and 1950 there. Now, taking a look here, excessive rainfall outlook. There's a couple systems moving into California, and you can see there is a slight risk for some portions of southwest Oregon. So heads up, a couple systems moving through Saturday morning through Sunday morning here, and then Sunday morning through Monday morning. That slight does include southwest Oregon there for that excessive rainfall outlook. And freezing rain and sleet, again, it should be light amounts here across much of eastern Washington as we go on in through Saturday. This is basically for today, but it continues on into Saturday as well. And if you want a nice affordable home weather station, this thing is just awesome, especially for the price. Solar powered, it's totally wireless. The mounting is easy, ultrasonic anemometer, haptic rain gauge. It's got a lightning detection system on it as well. And it can give you these real-time alerts and when it starts raining at your house and how far the lightning is away. Very fun weather station. Yeah, and the app is really nice on the phone there. You can check it out on the desktop as well. So highly recommend that. Now taking a look at, oh, by the way, click on the link down below if you want to order one. Now taking a look at the GFS. So this is hot off the press, the 12Z round. Let me update this because it is actively running as we speak. You can see this next system goes into California and clipping southwest Oregon here. That's what we're talking about with the excessive rainfall. Some of that precip does swing up across Oregon and Washington as we go through Sunday. Another system kind of sneaks in here the early portion of next week and kind of keep this precipitation going on. Then we throw a decent frontal system as we go through maybe Wednesday, and you can see a little bit of a break and then maybe a stronger system. Some of the models have been showing some interesting atmospheric river potential into portions of BC, Washington, and Oregon. So that would kind of be a nasty feature there. It could potentially bring some flooding concerns with it. But for right now, this is still way out there in the forecast here. So take it with a grain of salt. It's a fantasy forecast. We're just trying to be prepared for what may be coming in the future. And some of the extended runs here with the GFS and European were showing additional atmospheric river potential towards the end of January, but purely looking at tea leaves right now. Nothing to get too concerned about yet. Here's last night's European. You can see the systems moving into California, southern Oregon, spreading some precip back up towards western Washington and BC. Now we're now into Monday morning. Another weak system moves through. And then again, the European, the GFS, been showing this frontal system, fairly robust low pressure center here off of Haida Gwaii. And this would be about Wednesday morning. Another frontal system moving through here, but we will have warmed up definitely by this time across southwest BC, places west of the Cascades through Oregon and Washington. And then the potential starts to come for some atmospheric river. You can see some of this moisture stretching all the way back down towards Hawaii. And some of these have been pretty robust in some of the previous model runs here. So we'll be watching that over the next few days. We have plenty of time to look at this. So, you know, kind of bide your time with that. Don't take it too seriously just yet. And if we look at the European, I've been kind of watching this. I see a little bit of chatter about the jet extension coming across the Pacific Ocean as we go through the extended forecast. And if we look way out here, you can kind of see that starting to make its way towards the west coast here as we go over 300 hours out. But that's kind of a little bit of a El Nino flavor to it there. So we're going to watch that one closely, and this could bring some enhanced systems towards somewhere in the west coast of North America. No promises just yet. And that kind of shows up here in the European model. When you're on the positive side here, you've got the southwest flow generally into the west coast. This is Pacific North American oscillation positive territory here. And we're just going to be coming out of the negative territory here. And that's why we had that Arctic outbreak here across the Pacific Northwest and some cooler temperatures as the systems were more progressive and through the Pacific Northwest. But you can kind of see the hint. This looks a little bit El Nino-ish as we go through February coming up here, but no promises just yet. These have been fluctuating quite a bit also. And of course, if you're going off into the backcountry here, you can see the what is the considerable risk here across the Washington Cascades and Mount Hood, and some moderate across the Olympics and Oregon, and off through Montana and Wyoming here. There's actually avalanche warnings. You can tell because that's flashing there, and you can see some high avalanche danger there across Idaho. And this is really good information. If you click on these individual portions here, it gives you all kinds of detailed information on the snow quality and what the slabs are doing out there. Now, looking at SNOWTEL here, this is Oregon. Check it out, actually doing quite well. Most areas are right around average here. And you can see Willamette here, 118%, John Day. But for the most part, you can kind of see Oregon not doing too bad. Idaho, not as good. Southern portions doing pretty well. But you can see northern portions actually just around 60, 70% there of normal. This is for Washington. We caught up a little bit here. We were behind a bit more here, but you can see no place at 100% now, so we're still lacking. We need some more here. Hopefully we can make up those deficits here in the next few weeks. And Montana not doing too hot as well. You can see some areas actually below 50%, and some areas around 60, 70% there as well. This is the average temperature departure from average here over the last week. Check it out. You can clearly see the effects of that Arctic air mass here, and even the green here is still below below average across a lot of the west here as well. Some of the yellow slightly above average there, but you can clearly see this across Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana, and down in towards Wyoming. This is January 11th through the 17th. Here's percent average of precipitation. So when we bring the Arctic air mass, we're not bringing in those normal systems out of the southwest and bringing in the robust precipitation amount. So we're kind of below average here across a lot of the area. The exception being Oregon. We were getting some pretty good precipitation moving in when we're getting that initial Arctic air moving down the coastline here, and this is January 1st through the 17th. So we were targeting Oregon and kind of northern Nevada here with some pretty good amounts. We see Washington, Idaho, Panhandle, and some of Wyoming have been below average. And this is the drought monitor, doing pretty good. The abnormally dry is never usually anything to be worried about. We have some moderate and some severe drought out there, but it's very limited here compared to where we were at some portions last year. You can still see some of that going across the northern Idaho and western Montana as well, but not doing too bad. We are catching up here, and we're doing okay as of right now. We'll revisit this in a few weeks as well. I'll just keep watching it and see if any changes come. But yeah, interesting stuff there. We'll continue to watch that because it looks like we might stay stormy through the end of January. Still a lot of disagreement in the models coming up, so you don't want to get caught up in it too much, but it looks like we are going to be warming up, and we are going to have additional systems coming in with the potential for some heavier rainfall as we go on and through the week plus period coming up here. So anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. Again, thanks for everybody who leaves the super chats here as well. You guys make this all possible. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.